for fun. Open new tab, political compass test, and obviously my views could change over time. And take the test. Let's just do this here. If economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. And the way it's worded, I gotta go say some of these aren't worded well, but that's strongly agree. Always support my country, whether it was right or wrong. Strongly disagree. No one chooses their country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. I mean, that's got some merit. I wouldn't strongly agree because I'm not gonna say it's foolish if you're like, oh, I'm proud of being born in, say, any country you name. I don't think it's foolish. I mean, you don't have complete control over. I think I'll just go. I mean, I like the sentiment, but hate the statement. I think I'll just go light agree because I agree with the sentiment of it. Um, Many disagree. Superior. Strongly disagree. I mean, yeah, it's just strongly disagree. I mean, it's superior, it's subjective anyway, right? Any of my enemy is my friend, that's disagree. I mean, again, that statement has some merit, but in general, it's not something you want to live by. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. I strongly agree. I mean, you have to look at the context of each individual situation. I feel like an international law obviously going to be imperfect. Um, Now, a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. I'll go weak agree on it because you see people like I got into people online like they'll take stuff off of like TikTok, right? And then they'll just assume it's fact and they won't double check that. You get this unsourced information and people aren't doing their own research on a lot of things. But I mean, I don't know. But the access information is a lot better now than it ever has been. So I'll go weak agree on that. People ultimately divided more by class than by nationality. I would say more by class than by nationality. I think the way technology is going, I think this is a weak agree. Because if you're living an upper class lifestyle anywhere in the world, you can connect with other people living that lifestyle, and the life you live is going to be similar. The way technology, like I think people's, maybe in the past, I don't know, I feel like people are living like if you make like 5,000 a year. I mean, if you're like your lifestyle if you're poor is going to be somewhat similar anywhere around the world compared to if you're rich, and and technology is bringing people together across different nations. So I'll go weak agree. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. That's a weak agree for me. I mean, I feel like inflation is something that the government has more control over than unemployment, in my opinion. And I mean, I think that's pretty clear, right? And inflation that affects everyone. Because if you have inflation of like 6% or more a year, something like that, people's savings just depletes, and that affects everyone. And it helps a lot to have a sense of stability for lower middle class people to know that that if they save a certain amount per year and they can expect to be able to afford certain things in certain years, not have their money supply just be depleted to inflation and unemployment. That I feel like that's it's a shorter term issue. Inflation's a bigger picture thing, so I think it's a little bit more important because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. Strongly agree. From each according to his ability, to each according to his needs, a fundamentally good idea. What is that even saying? I'll just go weak disagree. Each according to his ability, to each according to his need. uh, fundamentally good idea. I mean, I don't think it's an idea, right? I don't think it's fundamentally good. I wouldn't say it's fundamentally bad. Um, That's more neutral to me. Freer market for people, I'll go weak, agree. I mean, look at healthcare, right? Not in the U.S., not a free market at all, and people aren't free at all there. And you have, I mean, I mean, I that's a little tricky, right? I think nowadays we've gotten to the point where like just look at restaurants, look at food, that we have a pretty free market there, and in the U.S. people are able to afford those things, make their own choices. I mean, yeah, I'll go weak, agree on that, and things that aren't a free market, like maybe like TV, lines, right, or cable TV, is that you don't really have a choice of what you're getting because it's not a free market at all. That stuff. And I mean, I don't think in places where you have a controlled market, the people are very free at all, where you have like a ton of government control. I mean, that might help. I mean, again, free is a subjective thing, and I'm not saying people that are more free are necessarily happier, right? But the free market for people, I'll go weak agree. It's a sad reflection on our society. Something as basic as drinking water is now a bottle branded consumer product. I'll go weak disagree. I mean, in the U.S., what are you trying to do, right? I mean, obviously, there's bottled water has its own uses, and a lot of places that the people can. There's tap water. There's other ways to get water that's cheaper than like the bottled water. And what are you trying to do? Just hand out bottled water free? I mean, that's wasteful, right? And people aren't getting crippled from not having like drinking water in the U.S. I mean, so I'll go disagree. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. Um, Disagree. I mean, what's the alternative, right? Show me a better alternative. I mean, I get the sentiment of it, right? It's regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. Disagree. I mean, I don't think there's many fortunes. First of all, I think that's kind of a loaded question. I don't think there's many fortunes made by people who are actually doing nothing, and a lot of it, like banking and stuff like that. Like that's how you're able to buy a house, right? Like you don't have to save up $500,000 to buy a $500,000 house. You get a loan, the bank that helps you, right? And same with getting a car. You don't have to make the payment all at once. That you get loans, and that helps the common people. Um, and the stock investments. That's what helps companies get going. I mean, there's not that many. Yeah, it's not. I think there are some issues in the banking industry, obviously, but I think the things that people think are problematic really aren't that bad. I think that the issues are different than how a lot of people see it. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. And the way it's worded, I mean, when I say it's never necessary, is you need protection. I'll go disagree. I mean, I think freer trade is generally a better thing instead of trying to preserve American jobs or whatever. Only social responsibility of the company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders. I'll go weak disagree. I mean, fundamentally, a publicly traded company is trying to, basically keep the stock price as high as possible. That's the way it's designed, right? But at the same time, and that takes into account because if you have a company with a terrible reputation that's polluting or whatever, it's not going to be that profitable. I mean, companies are profitable and people are wanting to buy the stock. People are wanting to own the company. So it takes some level of social responsibility to get a company that people want to buy into. The rich are too highly taxed. I mean, that's tricky, right? Because who's the rich, right? I'll go disagree, but if we're talking like doctors making 300,000 a year, yeah, they're being taxed a lot. And if we're talking people that are using all these loopholes, like the 1% that's taxed pretty highly, right? But the point zero one point the 1% of the 1%, no. I mean, but overall, I don't think it's too highly taxed. At the same time, taxing, I mean, it's not really hurting their life all that much. Um, those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. Yeah, I mean, again, what's the alternative? Is the alternative to say no matter what, you're going to have average health care, like everyone in the country is going to get the same level of care that at the lowest one, you're going to bring everyone down to a floor, right? Like what else? Why not bring the floor to other things? Like say a house, why should medical care be any different? You have to raise the floor up for sure, but you shouldn't be bringing the ceiling down. Like what are you going to do? Like NFL athletes, are you going to say, okay, these people are just athletes in general, they shouldn't have the medical care that they do? I mean, is the government gonna control that? They'd be stupid, right? Government should penalize businesses that mislead the public. I mean, I think it's on the burdens. I believe in the individual person. They should be able to, again, mislead and lying are different things. I mean, it's up to, I think people should become educated and figure out how to read through some of the business techniques. And I don't think the government should be policing what's misleading and not misleading. Like the overarching, they shouldn't be doing that. Now, if a business is lying, completely different story, right? But I would disagree. It's a weak disagree. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. What's a genuine free market, right? I mean, if you're putting restrictions, it fundamentally wouldn't be a genuine free market. I'm not saying a genuine free market's a good thing. Should always be illegal. Strongly disagree. All authority should be questioned. Yeah, to some extent. Eye for an eye, tooth for tooth. You have to look at what's most productive. It's not a bad idea, but I think you have to look at for punishments what's actually going to make a difference, what's actually going to be productive. If someone punches you in the face, are you just going to let someone punch them back, or do something that's productive in a different way? I think you have to look at that. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. I mean, you want some preservation of history, right? And it's certainly valuable at these theaters and museums that you can have a lot of public access to that sort of thing. And that I don't know. I think they're valuable enough. I'll disagree. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. Um, Classroom attendance. I mean, what does that mean, right? I think the way it is now is solid. If assuming you're allowing for online schooling and homeschooling, I would disagree with that. I think you gotta get people, because you have a lot of crazy parents that would do some stupid things. All people have their rights, but it's better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own kind. Disagree. I mean, should I go strongly disagree? It's better for all of us at different. Yeah, the way it's worded, but like low key, if we set up, I don't think our low key, if we could find a way to like ethnically get ethnostates going, it probably wouldn't be all that bad. Because look at like Germany, look at a lot of the countries in Europe, they have better stats than us across the board, and they're closer to being ethnostates. And show me one country. You gotta show, and if you disagree, show me one country that's just as diverse as the U.S. that's doing better than the U.S. Like, I don't think there's one out there. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. Disagree. It's natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. Strongly agree. Should not be a criminal offense. Strongly agree. Prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs. Prime function. Disagree. Well, I mean, what else are you going to school for, right? I mean, are you gonna? I'll agree, but you have to have a lot more than just finding jobs in a school. You have to have a lot more being taught. But I guess the primary function. I mean, what else is the primary function? I mean, a job is how people contribute to society. Strongly disagree. Strongly disagree. Most important thing. Yeah, that's no, only different cultures. I mean, what are you gonna do, right? What am I gonna say if people are constantly killing each other and like, I mean, I have to disagree, right? I mean, it's not. I mean, certainly, like we're gonna say like Neanderthals. At some point, you have to draw the line, right? And if people are killing each other and their life expectancy is like 40 years old, right? And you have like no health care, nothing going on for you. I, I mean, only different cultures, and certainly things we do here in the U.S. are pretty bad for us. And there's different levels of what people are doing, I think. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society support. Agree. When you're troubled, it's better to not think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. Is that better? I would disagree. First generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their new country. Disagree, although I think it's hard. It depends on how you define fully integrated. What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for all of us. Strongly disagree. I mean, you know, because look at the issue where the obsolete design of things, right? Where you're like, look at light bulbs. It's good for the corporations to make light bulbs that go out pretty quickly, so then you go back and buy new ones. But what would be good for us would be you buy one light bulb and you keep it for your whole life, or it always lights up the area. So those are conflicting interests, so it can't be always the case. No broadcasting institution, however independent its content, should receive public funding. I disagree. I think there's enough merit to the public broadcasting, so I'll keep it the way it is. But I mean, I'm close on that one because other countries I wouldn't say the same thing about it. Uh, our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism. I would agree, but I don't think it's a. I mean, we're still in the U.S. Like, I still feel like I'm free, right? A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all the arguments that delay progress in the democratic political system. Strongly disagree, for obvious reasons. Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. Disagree. Strongly disagree. You can have a lot of stuff. I mean, yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, you have innocent people that just their whole lives can be put out there for the public to view because of this stuff. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. Death penalty should be an option. Disagree. I mean, if the U.S. was able to correct it, where you have like zero innocent, zero wrongful convictions, and the cost, and you brought down the cost of it. But right now, the death penalty is not a good system, and it's not doing our country any good. In civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. Disagree. Don't need that. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. I mean, what am I gonna say? If I draw a dot on a piece of paper, and call that art. Is that really art? I don't know. Maybe not. But I'm not gonna. I'm not. I'm not one to say that to tell other people what you should or shouldn't consider art. I mean, I'll disagree. Disagree. I mean, what's better for the society, right? You want the rehabilitation. I mean, it's not good to, I mean, for taxpayer money to go towards punishing people. It's a waste, but at the same time, just to try. Is it ever a waste of time to try? Light disagree, I guess. Business person and manufacturer more important than the writer and the artist. Disagree. I think they're fairly equal importance. Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers. I'll go light disagree. I mean, light disagree. I mean, if you're having a family, then you want both parents to be focused on raising that family. So the father would also be a disagree. But um, first, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's yeah, but that's a pretty. I'll strongly disagree because I think you can always set it up differently when whatever works best for your family, right? And that's too much of a blanket statement for my liking. Multinational companies are unethically exploiting the plant genetic resources of developing countries. Yeah, that's what's happening. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. I mean, I get what that's going at, but I don't know. I don't think you have to like blend into the system to become mature. I don't think it's a necessity. So that's a light disagree. Astrology accurately explains anything. Strongly disagree. You cannot be moral without being religious. Strongly disagree. Charity is better than social security. Social security sucks. Uh, I'll agree. I mean, you need some government safety nets, maybe a UBI or something else. I mean, Social Security is giving people tiny bits like of money, and some of those people, you have wealthy people getting Social Security. Some people are naturally unlucky. Agree. Oh, strongly agree. That's you know. So then strongly disagree. Strongly disagree. Strongly agree. Should not be excluded. Strongly agree. Strongly agree. Strongly agree. Strongly disagree. Openness was a meme, right? Um, I'm pretty much neutral on it, so it's gone too far. But are people being harmed because there's too much openness? Are people's lives being hurt? No, so I wouldn't say it's too far. So let's see where I end up. And that's about right.